Hello, everyone. I am Yolanda Rasco, and this is Griot Connects, where we discover the story behind the book. And today, I'm here with my very great friend, Tina Wise, the pragmatic optimist.
In the flesh.
In the flesh. Today's episode, we're going to talk about a couple books. This is our book review episode that we call Bedside Books. And so for this episode, I've got 3 books that we're going to talk through. Tina, let me tell you, you're going to love all 3 of them. I promise.
Okay.
That's what I always say, y'all. But it's because, well, let me just start. We're going to do a summary of Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. Then we're going to jump over to My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite.
Sounds like my kind of book.
It is. It is. And then we're going to wrap it up with Children of Blood and Bone. That one is Tomi Adeyemi. And so, yeah, y'all know I got some good books for you today. So here's the thing. We're going to start with Caste because this is the one where you're going to work your brain.
You mean Caste as in?
C-A-S-T-E,
yes,
the Caste system.
Caste as an assistant.
Yes,
okay.
exactly. So this is Isabel Wilkerson. Isabel Wilkerson is a brilliant woman. She goes in and reframes how we look at and view American racism, but she does it from the prism of the caste system. And I'll just quickly explain the caste system. It's really where your ancestry or, you know, your descent, who you have come from,
determines who you are. Similar to what we saw in the British Empire. Mm-hmm. So no surprises there. All of the colonized communities have a caste system. And so it is a way of classifying you. The thing about caste is you cannot escape it. Mm-hmm. So therein lies the rub. That's the difference between what we in this. Well, I ain't gonna editorialize the story yet. Let me just tell you what it's about first, and then I'll put my commentary on it. Okay, I'm listening.
Okay, so in caste, as we've talked about, in certain regimes in India and in Germany, of course, you saw where a whole body of people were assigned to a lesser level of societal privilege. Okay. And so when you were defined, for example, into the non-Aryan caste, it was a death sentence for you, mm-hmm. right? In the Nazi era, yes. Those 12 horrible years of German history. They established that these people were not worthy of even continuing to breathe in and out. Mm-hmm. Similarly, in the caste systems of India, for example, if you are a part of the lower class, there is no escaping that. No matter what great works you do or what great contributions you make to the world, you are still the underclass. Mm-hmm. She takes caste and helps us to think about racism from a different lens. So in other words, if you think about right now, racism as we know in American society, it's a social construct, right? It exists, but then it don't really exist. It's not really a thing. It's something we made up, right? To establish privilege and those who weren't privileged. And then we built a whole structure around it and established systems of government that systems of institutions, governmental systems, educational systems, all sorts of intricate judicial system, the penal system, all based on the notion that some deserve more than others. Mm-hmm. That is caste. And so what she is exploring is how that has impacted the societies of those communities and how it has, in the comparison basically of it to racism.
So I will tell you, it was absolutely fascinating to me. Tina, I don't know. I'm surprised you haven't read this book. This is kind of right up your...
I haven't read it, but I will read it. But you know what's really, really interesting?
What's that?
I was reading something the other day, and apparently, maybe this is hope for us, in our caste system, it is against the law in India now to speak of someone's caste.
Really?
And to assign them to it.
No kidding.
Punishable by law.
Wow. Now that's a change of events.
Yeah.
That is very much a change of events. And I don't know that we could ever, well, I'm going to be optimistic. Okay.
Well,
I don't know. I was going to say, I don't know that we could evolve to that here in terms of racism. It's so embedded. So they had to make it illegal?
They made it illegal. Maybe because it was more clearly defined.
It is very clearly defined. It's defined by, your birthright.
Right.
So,
So I think our lines may be a little bit fuzzier.
Much more fuzzy. So we do interracial marriages. Right. We, go from class to class, and sometimes class trumps race in certain... And caste in society here in America in some ways. I mean, I'm using, for example, wealth, right, as an example where you can be in the top 1% and you may not experience the same thing when you get pulled over by the police.
Contraire.
Well, I don't know. I'm just suspecting, at the end of the day. But that is the whole point, is that it requires us to think about how we have structured ourselves, and then how do we get out of it? Like, is there a way out? Like, if you're born into something and the whole world sees you that way, you're born into this skin, right? The whole world sees you that way. You can't jump out of your skin.
No.
So will there ever be a way where there isn't a distinction just because of that melanin you got going on? I don't know.
I don't know either, but this was definitely going on my nightstand.
Yeah, I would tell you that if you are the type of person who enjoys American history, there's a lot of history in here to really help understand chronologically how the space, how caste was made, and then how it evolved, and how people lived in it and sat in it and tried to reject it, and maybe had some positive outcomes and maybe not. But it does give you a good perspective of the overall social order. And then it does give you, if you are someone who is trying to understand the framework for how social justice can evolve, I think it's also a good read for you. And I would also say that if you are looking for a way to just kind of give a nod and give a pass to people for what we call racism, right? I would say that it requires you to open up how you think about racism, meaning it puts it more around the not so much as an individual offense, but as a systemic framework that was built, a systemic framework that we just all live inside of, versus a personal affront from your neighbor.
Right.
And that's what I like about it.
I'm going to read it for
It gives you another way of thinking about it, putting a historical spin on it, putting a spin on it that takes it away from it being, this personal thing, and just understand it more so as a system.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay, that works for me.
Book number 1. And, oh, by the way, like I say now, it's long. It's long.
How many pages?
I don't know, because I listened to it. I did the audio version.
Okay.
But it's a lot of pages because it was many hours, 17 hours, something like that. It's very long.
A couple thousand probably.
But it's well worth it. I'm hoping that she will follow it with more because there is so much more to say. I think it's an area in our world in the US where we really struggle. I think that the reason it was endearing to me is because I am always looking for a way to bring people together. I don't see a reason for us to be so far apart
there is
and
no reason.
division and
There is no reason, but there is reason.
well, we create it.
Exactly.
That's kind of my thing. This can be uncreated, right? It was created. We did it, right? We established these rules and guidelines and systems, etc. They are human grown.
You get no argument from me on that.
Which means we could do something different.
Absolutely, we can.
Yeah, so that was what was very interesting to me because it just feels like if you can build a house, you could bring that John down on demand.
Okay.
Okay? So I want all my young intellects to read this. I want my political science majors to read this. I want people who are in social sciences to read this, political scientists, all of you guys who are looking for how to fix our life up better, please read this book so that you could get another perspective on what our go forward could be. All right. That's that one.
Okay.
And I hope you do pick it up.